This podcast is created by Home Build Zambia to help you as you start and manage your home building project. The podcast is for educational purposes only. Seek professional advice to get specific help for your project. Enjoy this week's show. Welcome to an architect and a DJ build a home podcast. I'm the architect.
And I'm the DJ. There is a right way of saying welcome.
Yes.
The right way.
Yes. Welcome to the show. And what do we have for today's show?
Well, today we'll continue with what we've been looking at this season.
Yeah.
And this is...
Where it is you start.
Yes.
When you want to build.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
And today we're looking at costing.
Yes, we're going to continue our conversation.
Yeah.
Last week we started talking about just ideas around what you need to take into consideration when you're looking at the cost of your house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and today we will take that discussion further.
A bit further.
Yeah.
Dive in deeper.
Yeah, but before we do that, we have our music trivia.
Yes,
Yeah.
And today I've decided to make it a bit easy in that I am literally giving you the name of the artist. But the challenge, I suppose, for you is to tell me which particular song I am thinking of.
Okay.
So the artist's name is K Dot.
K Dot.
Yes. Yeah, so
K Dot.
K Dot, don't say anything more. Yeah, so figure out who, you should know who K Dot is. If you don't, ask someone. So give me his real name, and the song by K Dot that I'm thinking of is a song where he mentions a town in South Africa. It's tricky.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a hard one.
it is. I know. Did I say it was easy?
Yes.
I lied. Yeah.
But
So-
does it relate to the show in any way?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, but such is life. But yeah, so let us know if you know what that song is. Song by K Dot that he mentions a town in South Africa. It's tricky. It's tricky, I'll tell you that. But if you think you know what it is, let us know.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
And the answer will be in the show notes.
it will be.
Yeah.
Okay. On to today's show.
Yeah, today's show. So, like I said, when we started, in the previous show, we were looking at considerations of when you're trying to figure out what your dream home will cost. And it's not as simple as how much does this cost. You have to first start just getting an idea of the scope of your project.
Okay.
And what do you want? What rooms do you want? And yeah, that's what you have to do in the beginning phases. And what that does is that it helps you to plan. It helps you to see whether it is that you're really ready for this financial commitment, really ready for this investment. So having an idea of the cost at the beginning is helpful. It's quite helpful. So I thought today I could break down step by step one of the methods that's used to calculate the cost.
Okay, because you know what I was going to ask, is there a right way of determining the cost of a project?
There are several methods that professionals use.
Okay.
So depending on the level of accuracy, they'll pick the appropriate method.
Okay.
So this is really one of the areas, like if you want to get an accurate cost for your house, it's really one of the areas that getting professional input will help you, but we'll go into that later on in the show.
So this
So this is a common, what I'm sharing. It's a common way. It's like you're getting a thumbs up.
So it would you say it beats picking a figure out of the air, or it beats consulting the ancestors for?
I don't know if the ancestors will help you.
I've been told there have been situations where they have intervened and given a figure. But anyway, let's.
It gives you an idea. It gives you an idea. And one thing that you have to bear in mind is that at the very beginning, you don't really have much detail on what it is that you actually want. As you go through the design process, as you go through just digging deeper into what it is that you want, you'll then get a more accurate cost. So this is like just at the very beginning, you want a thumbs up figure so that you can plan. So the simple method I'm sharing is one where you figure out what your floor area is going to be. And the floor area is basically looking at the size of your house. But in order to figure out an approximation of what your floor area will be, you need to know what it is you want in your home. What does this future home need to have for you? So you can just have an idea of rooms. The more you go into, asking those questions of what spaces do I need in the kitchen? I'll need to have a pantry. The better the estimate will be.
Okay.
So once you calculate the floor area, you then multiply that by rate per square meter. Now, rates per square meter are based on historical information of how much it costs. So consultants use that just to get an idea. But there are limitations with that, and I'll go into that after we go step by step.
Okay.
So you'll have your floor area, and then you apply the rate. And the rates come in ranges. So they'll tell you, okay, this rate per square meter is for a very basic house. So it will, maybe the assumptions are these are basic finishes.
Okay.
Or this rate per square meter will be for a high end. Yes. So then they'll have an idea of how much it costs for a high end. And then you'll apply that rate to your floor area. So say, for instance, your floor area is 100 square meters, which is, it's a small house. Our house is in Avondale. If people are familiar with Avondale houses, these are about, I think, within 120 square meters.
120?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
They're not very big.
So ours is a small house.
Yeah, but it's comfortable. Okay. I mean, we are able to be accommodated.
We live in a small house.
Yes. So it's about 120 square meters. Yes. So 100 square meters, which is quite small. You're talking maybe it would be a 2-bedroom house somewhere there. So then our current rates for a very basic house that are used, it's about $300 per square meter. So basic meaning it will be minimal finishes, very basic finishes. You're not talking about tiles anyway. And if you multiply the 100 square meters by 300, you get $30,000, which is about 630,000 kwacha. So that's extremely basic.
That sounds really basic.
Yes,
for that amount.
It's very basic. Yeah, you're not having any fancy finishes or fittings. If you go to the higher end, then we're talking $500 per square meter and above. So if it's about $500 per square meter, then you're talking around $1 million and something kwacha.
Yeah.
Yeah. But still, it's quite small. That's quite small. The average, most people, when they're asking about the cost, they're usually asking for a 3-bedroom house.
Yeah.
Yes. So that 100 square meters is very tight. You don't have any pantry, you don't have any laundry, you don't have a self-contained master bedroom, self-contained. So those are all the rooms that you have to figure out that that's what you want.
Okay.
Yeah. So how you can then use this information is that you can use it for your planning purposes. And this is at the start of the process because you haven't really gone so far into the process. You're just thinking about it. You want to know, can I afford to do this, or how much will I need? How do I need to plan? How much can I use for each stage? So it's helpful in that. But like I said, it's not very accurate.
Okay.
So you can use this information to gauge how much you can afford. You can also use it to clarify and make adjustments. So if you say, I can't afford a house for 1 million kwacha, what are my options? Am I still going to be able to do this project? So maybe I'm able to put up 500,000 kwacha, or maybe I can do this amount now and another amount later. So what are my options then? So then you'll be looking at, do you need to phase your project, or do you need to do something smaller? Do you need to reduce the rooms? And maybe when you come to the design stage, you'll now be saying, okay, I'm reducing the rooms, but as I go on later, when I have more money, I want to extend.
Yeah.
So then you make those decisions early on so that your design accommodates those adjustments that you'll need to make. You'll say, how much money do I have and what is it that I can do with it? Or you can also say, I'm not ready to do this now. Maybe I have to do it a bit later. So it's really just a tool to help you be able to assess how this project will affect you financially. Yeah. So then, like I said, there are limitations.
Okay. What are those limitations?
So a rate per square meter it's based on historical information. It's information that people who've been working on projects are able to put together, and you kind of like get an average. So maybe there are 10 houses and then you get an average of that. Maybe there are 10 houses of a similar type and then you get an average cost. Yeah. But site conditions are different. Yeah. So your piece of land will never be identical with somebody else's. So then that becomes a problem because the foundations would be different.
And the plot will require a bit more work.
Yes. So it doesn't capture those differences. Yes. So if you use this method, you have to bear in mind that this is a very vague estimate. I need to do more work to get closer. And that's the reality with getting the cost. You never actually know the real cost until you're finished.
I can hear somebody say, then what's the point?
But the point is, you're making decisions that are based on cost. So then one, if you know how much that you can afford, then you'll know that I can't go above this. You'll be able to say, what are my options for this?
Because, someone's going to say, if you never really know, then you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and start building.
But then you'll get stuck. That's the easiest way to get stuck.
So don't do it.
Don't do what?
Don't go ahead.
No, make decisions that will help you go ahead.
Okay.
Use the information to help you move forward.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you know that your house is going to be 1.5 million kwacha, you can say, okay, yeah, I think I'm able to afford this. Let me investigate a bit more. I think over this period of time, I should be able to afford this. So let me investigate how I can get my finances in order to be able to meet the demands of this project. If you just go in, so like a lot of people maybe the thing would be, okay, I just go in and I'm making decisions. Oh, I want that finish. I want this. I want that. But you can't afford it. Then you're doing yourself a disservice. It's easier to say, okay, this is what I can afford. And then because of your wise decisions, you can make savings and you'll be like, oh, because I've got savings here, I can actually do this that I wanted.
When I don't know how to ask this question. When you say, but you can't afford it, how do you know, or how does a person know they can't afford it? Because
What do you mean?
Because listen, somebody decides to just go ahead and start building
Yeah.
without any like absolute figure in mind.
Yes.
So they're just going to, it's like anything that, like you said, oh, this is what I want, let's do this. Oh, I want towels, let's get these towels. But you said, but you can't afford it. But how do you tell such a person that they can't afford it?
It's not, look, at the end of the day, when you're giving information, people can take it, or they can say, I think I prefer a different approach. So any approach, any suggestions that I make are that it's a suggestion.
Okay.
Right? It's like, okay, let's look at how much you earn, because a simple way to see how much you can afford is actually look at your personal finances. Right? You look at your personal finances and you say, am I able to make this commitment? It's like when you're looking for a place to rent. You look at your finances and you will then say, I think the range that I'm looking for is around this much, because when I pay the rent, I'm still able to buy food, I'm still able to sort out school fees and all these other commitments. You do that analysis to see how it is that you can then move. And yeah, it helps you, because it won't help you to go to a place where maybe the rent is 5,000 a month, but what you can actually afford is 3,000. So it's the same thing.
Okay.
You're really looking at what your expenses are, and sometimes if you're not there where you've been looking at your expenses in that way, then if you're going to do a housing project and make such a big investment, then it would be a good time for you to start. It's never too late. But any advice we give here, it's really a suggestion that can be taken or not. Yeah,
Okay.
they can be. So. Yeah, so I explained the limitation. One, the rate per square meter is really, it's not specific to your plot.
Yeah.
And a great starting point with these is always understanding how much you can afford.
There we go.
Yes, you can't run away from it. Yeah. It's a big commitment.
Yeah.
Then the other limitation of this is that it's not the full picture of your project. So here you're only looking at the house, but there are other costs that come in when you're building a house. There's the consultants that you would need. There would be maybe you have soil that needs particular attention in the foundation, so maybe you have more excavations. Maybe you have a sloping site, so that would mean that you have to hire somebody to come in to excavate. All those costs, you can never really pick them up at this stage or without professional input. So there are many limitations with this method that make it very inaccurate. A lot of professionals do prefer that they go into detail with you. They visit your plot, they understand your site, and then they can give a bit more of a realistic estimate of your house. But it's a simple way to have like a thumbs up, and to give you an idea of where it is that you're heading, what sort of commitment are you needing to make. And you will always need a little bit more. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we have a little bit more time? We're out of time.
I'll give you 2 minutes to wrap up.
Okay. So the last thing that I wanted to say was that professional input does help, and usually people would come to professionals like when they're ready to do the design, but at the starting phase, it really does help because professionals have an understanding of the different challenges that come with different plot types, for instance, or if there's a specific house style that you want. A professional would understand the costs that are related to that. So maybe you want a steel structure, or maybe you want very large windows. So if a professional has been experienced in working with that type of house, then they'll be able to give you an idea of what the costs are. So it does really help because there are lots of factors that affect the cost. Your distance, the distance of your site from where you get your major materials, for instance.
Remember we spoke about that
Yeah.
last time.
The cost of materials changes, of finishes changes quite a bit. Availability of certain materials, all of those affect the cost, and professionals understand that and they can give you input. So it's just like a conversation, like, look, I need you for an hour or two, help me look at my project and help me think through what can affect the cost, what do I need to be aware of.
Okay, real quickly, I have a question to ask, but I don't know if I should ask it because I'm looking at the time that we have.
Just ask it, it's all show. Ask it.
Throw, watch outside and get the time. Look, you said professionals are necessary, but they will increase the cost of your project. Professionals would be people like who?
At this stage, an architect. Architects can help with looking at your plot. Quantity surveyors. Quantity surveyors understand the cost. If you have that combination of architect and quantity surveyors, also structural engineers.
Okay. And you also mentioned consultants.
Yes.
Those would be like people like who?
Consultants are the same.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But it depends, depending on the complexity of your project, you would then need different professionals. So like say for instance, if in your mind you want to do a double-story house, you're definitely going to need a structural engineer.
Yes.
But if you say, no, I just want a simple house, it needs to be small, like we spoke about, like 120 square meters, it's simple, your soil doesn't have any issues, then you can just have an architect for that.
Because I'm thinking, listen, I'm embarking on a building project.
Yeah.
I go get my drawings from an architect. I've got my builder. Once I get my drawings from an architect, I'm thinking that is all I will ever need as in terms of consultants. I'm done. The only person I have in my mind I'm working with is a builder.
No, it's...
I give the builder the drawings, get it off. I mean, get the work done.
Yeah.
I'm sorted, finished.
Yeah, but if you remember...
But I know life is not as simple as that.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
So if you remember our episode with Barbara, she spoke about doing a house involves teamwork, and there are things that the architect can't do that a structural engineer will do, or there are things that a structural engineer can't do that an electrical engineer will do.
Yeah.
So all of these different people work hand in hand in order to deliver the project that you want. And we can go in more detail in other episodes on who's the team that you would need and when you would need them.
Okay.
Because then that helps you plan.
Anyway, I brought that up just to put it in people's minds that, you know what, it's not that simple.
No, it's not.
And
you will need help.
It can be a bit daunting and you're like, then it will bring the cost up, but these are necessary people.
Yeah.
And it does affect your cost.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah. So thank you for being with us today.
Yes, we're back again next time. What are we looking at?
we'll be looking at your plot. Yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Until then, thanks for the company. We'll talk to you next time.
An Architect and a DJ Build a Home podcast is a Home Build Zambia production, recorded and produced in Lusaka. The show is hosted by Kalenga, he's the DJ, and me, Mphangela, I'm the architect. Video recording by Sharon Malama, music by Bless the Creative, technical support provided by Bless the Creative. You can find us on Instagram at home_build_Zambia or on our website homebuildzambia.com, or contact us by email podcast@homebuildzambia.com. Thank you for listening.